Good evening. This week we had a very special guest in the United States. Pope Francis visited us from Rome and spent several days in Washington, D.C., New York City, and Philadelphia. Millions of people came to see him. Yet tens of millions, perhaps hundreds of millions, heard his messages broadcast over the airwaves. His messages included hope for justice, hope for peace, and hope for equality. Yet, his speeches also include cautionary messages, and more specifically, messages whereby he urges us to find the common grounds whereby we can actually achieve the peace, the justice, and the equality that we all deserve. Hi, my name is Xavier van de la Notte. I am speaking to you from my study in my home in Miami, Florida. And I wish to give a shout out to all the fans of our X Factor, and also offer a very warm welcome to all of those of you who have yet to be acquainted with the power to achieve success and happiness. My role, my aim, is to try to help everyone understand that life is an easy and enjoyable process, and within we can achieve success and happiness every day. To stay in line with the message of the Pope, I would like to take this opportunity to read an excerpt of my book, Our X Factor. And more specifically, I would like to read the beginning of chapter 13, The Practice of Happiness. We live in a dichotomous world, or at the very least, we perceive the world through a spectrum of opposites, pitching the good versus the bad. When we recognize something to be positive, we suspect an equally negative alternative or result must exist. Our laws define that which is right and sanction that which is wrong. We understand the concept of peace principally in relation to the concept of war. In many people's interpretation, love is the reverse emotion of hate, and vice versa. For every gain, there is a loss. For every winner, a loser, and so on. Our attentions, moreover, are more frequently focused on the negatives we experience than on the positives. We don't celebrate 50 years of peace between two nations, but we do commemorate revolutions or the end of wars. We aren't nearly as grateful for what we have as we deplore the things we lost. We all want peace and happiness, yet we spend our money to entertain ourselves with images of violence and destruction on TV or at the movies. In the papers or on the evening news, more emphasis is given on what not to do and what shouldn't happen than on what to do or what could happen. In fact, if there isn't something amiss, there is no news to report. In truth, when our lives are proceeding on an even keel, we are often nonchalant about them. Our views of selves, others, and the world at large is often clouded. Perception is reality. Yet what we perceive is usually nothing more but what we choose to believe. We make those choices deliberately and in a self-serving manner. It provides us the advantage of convenience. Giving our perceived beliefs too much credence causes us to lose consciousness of reality. We, furthermore, tend to rally around those that, like-minded or delivered to similar fates, share in our beliefs. As people take positions on one end of the debate or another, whether in solidarity or philosophically, we fracture and divide reality and, in doing so, fuel our collective unconsciousness. Conflict, resistance, pain and suffering teach us and make us more resilient. We learn from experience and mistakes and create through that process an environment in which we grow and expand, both individually and as a society. At its most fundamental level, life on Earth is inclement. Resources are scarce, so we have learned to compete to ensure our survival. Seasonality causes weather conditions which force us to find shelter for more than half of the year. Natural catastrophes occur unexpectedly, constraining us to rebuild that which is destroyed and mourn those who perished. As a species, we have done well both for ourselves and our preservation. As humans, we remain divided. We are in disagreement over the distribution of wealth, over the distribution of land, over economic policy, over the use of resources and energy, over political ideology, over religious beliefs, over moral convictions, over environmental impact, over power, over rights, and over justice. Would we believe it, there is a clear divide as to whether we can sustain our preservation as a civilization on planet Earth. Balance, it would seem, comes at the cost of conflict and opposition, to which there may be no end or no clear and lasting resolution. Our processes and beliefs hinge on two paradoxes. For nations to find peace, it may be necessary to wage a war. For people to find happiness, we may need to experience the qualms of unhappy periods in life. Even so, there are things that can improve our fate, collectively and individually, and about which we can do something right now. Collective consciousness is formed by the sum of individual awareness of people in our societies. Elected officials and global business leaders who are in positions to affect the distribution of wealth and to regulate our lives take their cues from that collective consciousness. You might say they reflect the morals, the souls, and the emotions of their constituents. With our choices, actions, purchases, votes, and our voices, we influence our societies. Hence, we impact those in charge of our national, social, and economic policies. Beyond the respect for our civic duties and common moral bonds, we can equally affect the state of our society's emotional health. By increasing our awareness and choosing to embrace our natural state of happiness, we can be hopeful that in time, our dichotomous and fractured societies will make room for the emergence of a culture of happiness and coexistence. In that realm, abundance, inclusion, tolerance, and acceptance will replace scarcity, division, close-mindedness, and rejection. Happiness is a state of mind. We can access it at all times, independent of material factors, social doctrines, or cultural beliefs. We can become aware, irrespective of collective consciousness or unconsciousness. Happiness is a choice. To practice it, we let our consciousness emerge to the forefront and focus on the present, subduing our egos. Awareness is the natural enemy of the ego. The ego wants our essences to remain unconscious. It doesn't care about abundance and therefore is unaware of either our individual or the world's potentials. It dominates our thoughts by feeding our minds with past regrets, fears about our futures, or envy about the things that we lack. The ego preserves itself regardless of the emotional costs and fosters close-mindedness, opposition, and division. As any enemy, the ego leads us to feed on pain, fear, defensiveness, bickering, and negative emotions. When conquered by our ego, we are prevented from achieving our potential, being hopeful, and embracing the positive energy within all things. In reality, the ego robs us from our ability to fulfill that which is essential and natural, to simply be happy. Yet, we cannot let it. The practice of happiness resides in growing awareness and in adopting positive attitudes. The quality of our lives, then, resides in our determination to cultivate and live by simple, common principles. With awareness of these principles, we then unburden ourselves of that which is not in our control and take accountability of our emotions, our words, and our actions. Then we are free to unleash our potential for success and access our happiness. These paragraphs from the book Our X Factor reflect clearly both the concerns and the hopes of Pope Francis. It is regrettable that often we are divided on issues, and this division creates polemic that keeps us from achieving satisfactory solutions that would fit everyone. Yet despite our division, we can improve our individual awareness. With improved awareness, our consciousness is heightened and we get greater access to our success and happiness. Over time, when more of us will have achieved greater success and happiness, I believe that our collective consciousness will also rise to allow for the dreams and the hopes of Pope Francis to be fulfilled, which is to provide peace, equality, and justice for all. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Thank you for watching. For more information on success and happiness, consult Our X Factor. I look forward to seeing you again next time.